हे देयर गाइस, आज न्यू वीडियो लेके आ गया हूँ अपने चैनल पे। जैसे कि आप लोग देख पा रहे होंगे यही थंबनेल पे कि आज जो वीडियो है, जो आज से मैं 2 वीडियो डालूंगा। तो आज जो पहला वीडियो है जो आप लोग को मिल रहा है अभी, वो है व्हाई बांग्लादेश ज्योग्राफी माइट बी टू गुड। ऐसा क्या बात है कि जिसके लिए बांग्लादेश को टू गुड बोला जा रहा है इस पे। तो चलिए उसको देख लेते हैं, और उसके लिए लाइक और सब्सक्राइब तो बनता है गाइस। जो लोग इस चैनल को नए देख रहे हो तो प्लीज़ लाइक और सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए। ये आपके लिए बहुत छोटा सा बात हो सकता है, लेकिन मेरे लिए बहुत बड़ा सा बात है। प्लीज़ सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए और लाइक कर दीजिएगा, विच हेल्प्स विद द चैनल्स ग्रोथ। तो विदाउट एनी फर्दर अड्यू, let's dive into this why Bangladesh's geography might be too good. And if you haven't subscribed to their channel khanubis, please like and subscribe to the channel too. This is Rohit diving on to this reaction on a count of 1, 2, 3. Here we go.
When it comes to geography and the whole thing about geography affecting people and the societies they live in, Bangladesh is usually looked at by the rest of the world with, I think pity would be the right word here. The People's Republic of Bangladesh is the densest country on Earth, at least not including all the comically tiny ones, with more people than in all of Russia squeezed into an area the size of Iowa or about 1.5 Portugals. It is also one of the poorer countries in the world, and not to mention one of the most in danger of the effects of climate change. But what if I told you that the region Bangladesh finds itself in actually has some of the best geography in the world? In fact, that might actually be part of the problem. This video was brought to you by Wondrium. Along a river valley in the north of India, at the foothills of the Himalayas, arose the civilizations that would give us the North India we know today. Today, the Republic of India has its core along this river, the mighty Ganges, the lifeblood of a region that over 650 million people call home. Go further downstream, however, where the locals start to call it the Padma, and it meets up with other major rivers like the Jamuna or Brahmaputra and the Meghna to form the largest river delta on the planet before spilling out into the Indian Ocean, forming the region we know as Bengal. Thanks to the alluvial silt brought down from the Himalayas and into the Indo-Gangetic Plain, and the water trapped down here by the Himalayas, the region of Bengal has some of the richest soil for agriculture in the world. Being one of the most productive agricultural regions in all of South Asia, the area has been known for its cotton, silk, and jute production, which naturally attracted the various European powers and their East India companies, establishing trading posts in the area, at least until the British muscled everyone out for control over the entire subcontinent. The city of Calcutta, or Kolkata, in West Bengal became the capital of the Bengal province, and by the end of the 19th century, the second largest city in the British Empire, behind only London. Of course, not all of the country is exactly like this. In the Chittagong hill tracts in the east, one of the few parts of the country not at sea level, the local population is largely made up of different tribal communities, often referred to under the term Adivasis. Adivasi isn't the name of a particular ethnic or cultural group, rather a sort of catch-all term for tribal peoples across the Indian subcontinent, including ethnic groups like the Chakma, which, hang on, they have their own unique writing system too? In the hill tracts, a large portion of the population is actually Buddhist, and many of these groups were also converted to Christianity by Protestant missionaries, setting them apart from the majority Islamic and Hindu populations of the rest of the country, for whom these modern borders were drawn. Bangladesh as we see it today is a relatively new concept. While Bengal and its distinct culture, language, customs, writing system, and all that date back centuries or millennia, British Bengal was divided between a Hindu West and a Muslim East in 1905 as an administrative reform. This was quickly undone only 6 years later, but by then the seeds of this idea of dividing Bengal in this way had been planted. When India was partitioned along religious lines in 1947, East Bengal became East Pakistan, part of the larger country of Pakistan. Now, I'm not supposed to have opinions on this channel, but I think you can agree that, at least in an objective geographic sense, these borders are pretty much how not to put a country together, and the way it was managed did not exactly make things easier. The East had a considerably larger population than the West, and its products made up the bulk of the country's exports. However, the national government was still based in the West, led mostly by politicians from the western half with very few Bengalis in their midst. And while most of the country's exports came out of the east, most of the money went toward the west. Not to mention the two parts of the country were separated by 1,600 kilometers of hostile territory. The handling of the 1965 Indo-Pakistan War and particularly the fallout of the 1970 Ebola cyclone, the deadliest tropical cyclone on record, ultimately led to the Bangladesh Liberation War the following year, and the Bangladesh genocide. Now, if you want to learn more about all this, you know what, let's do the sponsor stuff right now and get back to the video in a minute. I think this is a pretty good segue. Now, someone who can help give you a far deeper understanding of Bangladesh's post-partition history than I reasonably could in 10 minutes is Oberlin history professor Michael H. Fisher, whose course on Indian history, more specifically episode 33 on independent Bangladesh, is what a large portion of this very video was based off of, and which you can watch right now in its entirety on Wondrium. Now, maybe you don't want to learn about Bangladesh, in which case why did you click on this video? Maybe you just want to learn about basically anything else there is to learn about. Fret not, because Wondrium has thousands of great courses, plus they are constantly adding new content to their library every single month. Do you want to learn more about and get a deeper understanding of the historical accounts of Jesus' life, or history's greatest voyages, or the Japanese language? Guess what? Wondrium has courses on those. You can watch these courses whenever you want on basically whatever device you happen to have, and even download them so you can spend the bulk of a 9-hour flight on a budget airline learning about dinosaurs or pirates or how to play piano. Look, they have pretty much everything here. Why not check out their collection yourself, or use this as a good last-minute gift idea by going to wondrium.com/khanubis or clicking the link on top of the description to start your free trial of Wondrium. After achieving independence for real in 1971, Bangladesh was not left with many cards to play. Aside from doubling down on the clothing industry, which does seem to be helping make the country richer, the country struggled to get their act together governmentally. Even today, according to Transparency International, Bangladesh ranks 147th out of 180 countries in corruption, 7 places worse than neighboring Myanmar. Although the devastating famine that came shortly after achieving independence has now long passed into the history books, and reports suggest the country to be self-sufficient in food production, a significant portion of the population is still malnourished. The fact that the entire region lies on a river delta also leads to the precarious nature of it being very low and very flat. And very low and very flat plus very wet equals very floodable, especially when another cyclone strikes, which can flood vast swaths of the entire country. In recent decades as well, the Ganges has also become one of the most polluted major rivers in the world, particularly from industrial runoff. Where many of the issues afflicting Bangladesh all come to a head is in the capital and by far largest city, Dhaka, with a metro population of nearly 20 million, making it one of the largest cities on the planet, and in fact in the solar system. 4 times larger than the second largest city, Chittagong or Chittagong, Dhaka is a troubled city. Dhaka is one of the most polluted cities in the world, and yet its population is still growing rapidly, particularly from those migrating from more rural regions, especially as more snow in the Himalayas begins to melt into the country's more than 700 rivers, raising water levels across the nation. Remember, the country is basically just one giant river delta. One of Dhaka's biggest issues is a lack of coordination. Oh, come on. From the colonial era, the city of Dhaka was managed by the Dhaka City Corporation, until 2011 when it was split in twain, one north and one south. Dhaka's city services, however, are divided amongst several national authorities, instead of 1 or 2 municipal authorities. For example, the Dhaka Metropolitan Police is a subset of the Bangladesh Police, which operates under the Ministry of Home Affairs, while Rajak, which coordinates urban planning within the city, is operated under the Ministry of Housing and Public Works. With more than 50 different agencies providing different services to different parts of the megacity in this cobbled-together nature, the task of managing Dhaka and maintaining its services, well, it's essentially like playing City Skylines on ultra-hardcore mode whilst also sharing that city between several other players who might not be very interested in cooperating. Really, Bangladesh serves as a prime example of 2 things. First, it's important to preserve the natural environment around us, lest it come back to bite us in the ass. And second, while it is important to take care of the environment, we also have to acknowledge that it's practically impossible to do so when you don't have the resources to build solar punk utopias for 160 million people when your country is only recently industrialized. Look, I think we can deal with keeping Florida if it means helping out Bangladesh, that's all I'm saying.
क्या बोल सकते हैं इस वीडियो के बारे में. वेरी नाइस एंड इन्फॉर्मेटिव वीडियो. जैसे कि मैं बोल सकता हूँ। और बांग्लादेश का जो मतलब नींव है, कैसे रखा गया और कैसे बांग्लादेश को फॉर्म किया गया, हाउ वाज बांग्लादेश फॉर्म्ड, how Bangladesh actually goes through all the calamities which befalls on it every year. It's not just Bangladesh, it's also West Bengal and Orissa. It's the coastal lands of India and Bangladesh which always faces all these cyclones. Like, you know, there were many in my state also. So that is the thing, everything goes from here only. So ऐसे बोलने में तो एक चीज़ है कि Bangladesh has a lot of distress, but again, with distress comes what you say is profit, not profit actually, comes advantages. What are the advantages? कि जब भी कोई मतलब it's a so flooded riverbed that there is lots of silt and alluvium in the heartlands of Bangladesh. Like, you know, बीचों बीच बहुत ज़्यादा उपजाऊ मिट्टी है. So basically anything can be growed or cropped in that land. So in that way it's very blessed. But the municipal management, which I am seeing as in Dhaka, needs to be, like, you know, a little bit more, as per my opinion, needs to be more organized. Because as for in capital, it looks a very, like, you know, unorganized kind of a city, buildings growing from everywhere. So you need to organize those things. And again, commenting on Bangladesh, I would just say this, that Bangladesh is a very, very, very advantageous country and a very rapidly growing country, which will actually become one of the leading superpowers in South Asian countries, also in the Asian norms, as per their, like, you know, GDP and productivity. As you can see, they are saying that it's actually one of the poorest country, but I won't say that it's the poorest country, because again, you can't judge a country just on its per capita income. You have to judge a country on its, like, you know, on the levels of inflation too. हम लोग के यहाँ मतलब, like, still in India, Bangladesh and all these South Asian, I don't know about Pakistan, but India, Bangladesh, I suppose that still we can eat between some of 10 to 100 rupees. In between we can eat our daily meals. So that is not really being poor. The Westerners judging being poor is their lifestyle, being so pricey in everything. So I think that's a thing. But rest said, this video was very informative by Khanubis. If you didn't like and subscribe to this channel, you should. All my Bangladeshi brothers and sisters, you should go to this channel and like and subscribe. और जो भी हम लोग के इस चैनल को देख रहे हैं, इस चैनल को भी लाइक और सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिएगा, जैसे कि ये चलते रहे और बढ़ते रहे. चलिए, आज का ये पहला वीडियो मैं यहीं एंड करता हूँ. मीट यू इन द नेक्स्ट वीडियो एंड प्लीज स्टे ट्यून्ड. Till that, do like and subscribe. Here we go. 1, 2